All right, let's get this thing started. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
All right, all right, all right. Welcome. Let me pause this
Launch
music.
weekend of Call of Duty.
Yeah, welcome to the P2 podcast, episode 1. And we are talking about anything and everything Call of Duty League that happened this past weekend on April 24th? 24th.
Yeah, started on the 24th. Started on Friday.
Yeah, but it was hype, man.
It definitely was, bro.
I really enjoyed it. Mort came over, and we watched a little bit of it at my house, and then
Friday.
and then we just watched here and there throughout the rest of the weekend. It was awesome.
I had to watch most of it at work.
Nice. So yeah, we decided that we watch enough Call of Duty that we really wanted to start a podcast just talking about, anything and everything Call of Duty League. We want to talk about, for this episode, we want to talk about how the league went as a whole on launch weekend, because there was a lot of question marks leading up to this weekend and no one really knew how things were going to plan out. I don't think the staff there knew how it planned out, but
Pros were even tweeting it out.
yeah, so I mean there was a lot of stuff that was happening, but overall I think it went really good.
Yeah, I mean, like the production quality definitely stepped up a lot.
Yeah. We'll get into the pros and cons here in a minute, but so we want to talk about the event as a whole, and then we will go in and break down all of the games that happened. A lot of things that you could kind of expect, but then a lot of things that we didn't really expect. Cough, Dallas
Most of it
Empire,
was-
cough, cough.
A lot of it was upsets, man. I'm telling you.
I don't know if it was an upset. I think it was. I was explaining this to someone, and it was like all of these teams are so scrambled. I mean, not a whole lot of teams like stuck together from like Black Ops 4. So it is really cool to see a lot of people reunited, like the FaZe guys, Attach and Zuma reunited.
Yeah,
See how they kind of run their team. T2P reunited. I mean, there was a lot. There was a lot of stuff going into this. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of just want to, let's just get into it, man. Let's talk about how opening weekend went. Let's talk about it like prior to the event, because there was a lot of things that was like going on. We didn't know like where we were gonna watch this, or I mean just like setup. Like I don't know if did you watch that tournament that they had a couple months ago? It was the streamer tournament.
Yes, and the clip of what's his name just turning on 10 the Tap Man.
No, no. It wasn't that. You're thinking of the wrong one. Tim the Tatman wasn't in it. It was the one where like TP pulls out the knife and goes up and knifes like 2 people and then defuses the bomb.
Okay,
like,
no, I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, it was like a streamer tournament that was worth like a lot of money, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. Call of Duty said, "Hey, this is the first thing that is gonna happen," and people were like, "What? Okay." Pros were pissed about it because it was a substantial amount of money, and they wanted to be a part of it, and not like these streamers that some of them nobody really knew. But that was kind of the first like weird red flag for me, because I watched a little bit of it and there was a countdown, and so all of us are sitting in chat like, okay, what's gonna happen here?
What's it gonna be?
What's this gonna look like? Who's gonna announce this? And it loaded up, and it was 2 guys in a weird looking. I mean, it was a professional looking studio, but it was something that was very different than what we've seen in the past. Yeah. And it was 2 guys that we didn't really know, and it was kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we got so used to seeing the same 4 people on the casting or the analyst desk, and then the same like casters, that these 2 new guys that did it. It was just kind of obscure to watch. I'm trying to think of who was it. Maybe it was one person.
Awkward.
Maybe it was one person that we knew, like Merc or somebody, and then somebody knew that we didn't know. I don't think so, though. Okay. But it was really weird. And so, like, after seeing that, I mean, everybody was kind of like, okay, is that how the Call of Duty League is going to work? Like, is there going to be a lot of new people? Is there going to be... I don't know, but leading up... Go ahead.
Well, like, what I was saying was I didn't really follow much of anything before it, because honestly I didn't really care. I just wanted to watch our pro teams, like our favorite people that we've been watching since AW. And like, I don't know, when they were announcing all these different tournaments, I was like, I just didn't see the need for it really. Maybe they're trying to bring more people into COD. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean that's the ultimate goal is that this franchising will ultimately bring more people that don't usually watch COD into watching COD. And
yeah,
to start off, it wasn't the greatest. I mean, one of the biggest things from a viewer perspective was like, um, how like are we gonna watch this? Like, where is it gonna be like streamed at? Or yeah, I mean, there was just a lot going into it.
yeah. I remember waking up on Friday the 24th, and I was like, all right, still have no clue where it's going to be streamed on, like what's going to be happening. There's talks about it being on TV even. I'm like, I don't pay for cable.
Right.
Like everything's streaming now. Like, why would you move it to TV? Like, this isn't
Yeah.
2004 Counter Strike.
I don't know, but it was interesting. It was a very interesting move to see them signed with YouTube Gaming, and I think they signed it the day of. I mean, I
Exactly. Like they came out and they're like, "Hey, everything's gonna be on YouTube." I'm like,
it,
okay,
and I think that's a cool, but it's a ambitious move because I know that the Overwatch League is now streamed on YouTube, and I
yeah,
don't personally watch the OWL, but all you keep hearing about is like their lack of viewership and the fact that it's struggling to get viewers to it. And I mean, Call of Duty, that's one of the big question marks that we had going into this was like, are we going to
mhm,
have people watching us? And then the fact that they, made a gut decision and signed with YouTube Gaming. I mean, I think it's cool. I definitely think YouTube Gaming is going to be a very big growing platform in the next 2 years.
yeah,
I bet you it'll over. I don't know. I mean, maybe Twitch will pick it up a little bit, but I mean, if YouTube Gaming starts to figure out a better user interface for like a viewer, I think,
yeah.
and start to get like sub emotes a little bit, and
I
um,
just think it was a premature move.
maybe, yeah. I mean, you always want to be one step ahead of where the market's going to go. So I mean, I
Mhm.
get both sides of it, but viewers actually turned out pretty decent for this first
Yeah,
launch weekend. I mean, there wasn't a lot of empty seats there. I mean, on Friday maybe, but it's a Friday. Some people have work. Some people travel to
and
these events.
also it was up in Minnesota, bro. I don't know about you, like I would have loved to go to this, but everyone was just talking about how cold it was and like how miserable it was outside. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Before the game started, they showed the rocker ice fishing.
yeah, that's
Like, eh,
that's crazy. I wonder why they had it in Minnesota. Did you ever hear anything about that? Like, why did they put it in Minnesota?
not a clue. Not a
Yeah,
clue.
neither do I. But
But I
yeah,
think they did a really good job bringing a lot of Minnesota fans. Like, I don't know who there has watched competitive Call of Duty before, but when Minnesota came on and played their first match, like there were a lot of fans there. Like we're used to having the green wall for Optic, like being the number one fan section. But this past weekend was Minnesota. They were by far the loudest.
well, dude, like we made that comment when it would pan over the crowd and everything. There was a lot of Minnesota gear, so that's super
Yeah.
cool. Like when they first gave the pitch of like Call of Duty is going to be franchising, and people are like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, we're gonna have like cities and everything. I didn't think that people would hype up behind the city, but
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of Minnesota fans there wearing merch and everything, and they really seemed to hype up the Minnesota team. Like
For sure.
that first game that they play, who did they play? The Los Angeles
Gorillas.
Guerrillas. Yeah, during that, I mean, they were hyping it up, and it looked like I mean, it was a
Exactly.
full on production,
And there
and
were tweets about supermarkets having rocker merch.
right, no, that's
Like that's something I never would have thought of.
I think that yeah. I mean, it did. I definitely didn't think that people would gravitate towards that. But as we're saying this, you and I are from Indianapolis, and the closest team to us is Chicago, and we're already rocking the Chicago Huntsman stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm ready to go support what feels like a home team kind of deal. So
They're definitely our home team. They're the closest.
right, so I think it's pretty cool. It's actually shaping out to be pretty decent.
Yeah, for sure. And like that's what they were talking about as soon as franchise was announced.
Mm.
And I say they like study, nameless, TP, all the old analysts and casters and all that. They were saying, well, our team or our fans gonna stay with their players, or are they gonna go to city? I feel like it kind of split. Like definitely tell like there's a lot of people following their cities, which is really cool.
Yeah, and as I said before, all these teams are kind of scrambled, so it's like my second favorite team is probably the Seattle Surge, just because I do gravitate towards those players.
Dad
But
squad.
Dad Squad, yeah, I wish they did a little bit better, cause so I can hype them. But we'll get
Oh
into that
yeah.
later. We'll get into that later. They did not come out super hot. Um, so I want to talk like real briefly about like pros and cons of the event as a whole. So I think
Mhm.
the first pro that stood out to me was the overall package of everything looked incredible. Like
Yeah.
it
Production
definitely,
quality.
yes, it definitely looked like something that you would see like on TV. Like yeah, well,
Yeah.
one of the cons, skipping forward, is the fact that they had some technical issues, but that's just being really nitpicky. Like I've had to put together TV packages like that before, and it's obnoxiously difficult. And the fact that they had to use old footage that they had from like Black Ops 4 or beyond, and then they had to shoot this footage for their media camp that I think happened a month ago,
Yeah.
that media thing that they had to do. Yeah, I mean, the turnaround time, the fact that this league felt like it was just like coming up out of nowhere, the overall visual package of everything looked super super incredible. Like
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
I love all of the like the player intro, like the hype kind of thing. Some of them are corny,
Yeah.
but it was kind of cool. It was definitely something that you would see on like
Yeah.
a TV broadcast for sure. And
They're definitely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think that that's definitely important to set the bar super high right out of the gate for the COD community too, just in case they get those new viewers. And if it looked kind of dumpy, they would be like, "Oh, like this is just competitive COD. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch this League of Legends thing that has a giant set and it looks like super cool." So
Exactly. Well, even Maven, one of the casters, tweeted out. He was like, "We have a bunch of new toys in the Codcaster setup that you guys are going to be seeing a lot of." Which we or the one we saw the most of was the third person, and like
we'll
I
get
could
into that.
see,
Yeah,
I could see like how that could be cool, but not all the time.
yeah. We'll list the pros first. We'll try and list the pros first because we definitely do have
Okay.
nitpicky like cons that we definitely need to talk about. One of them was a big turn off for me this whole weekend. It was kind of
Well, I'm
gross.
not saying that third person was a con. I think it's more in between. Like I thought a lot of the stuff that they introduced was really cool.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of new aspects to the viewership side that was I genuinely liked it.
Like what?
Like I said, the third person. So especially on, I think it's Hill 3 or 4 in Azir Cave,
Mm,
next to Doggy, where they would go into third person and you could see through the X-ray where the push was coming from,
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
like not just on a one. Like not just looking at it from the gamer's perspective, but looking at it in a third person's perspective.
Yeah, no, in the first match that we watched, it was definitely not greatly used. You could tell that they just wanted to show off all of their new things that they've been working on, like the third
Yeah,
person, like the overhead cams and stuff like that. Um, but I even made a comment to you on Friday, like they're gonna figure it out, like the balance of how to use it. Like we're used to only seeing, like
first person.
first person, switching back first person and everything. I definitely think they're gonna find a balance. Even Maven said, like, "Hey, I hear you loud and clear. Like, we're figuring out how to use these new toys," as they put it. So I think it'll get better. Like I said, if the same production team that made the pre-roll stuff, like all of the commercials, if they kind of get that same kind of like level of production into the live production stuff, I think it's going to be really good. Like,
Yeah.
especially with the third person, like I didn't mind it when it was like switching to a new hard point, and like you said, you could see that like either through the X-ray that the whole team's going around this side, and you could see like 3 or 4 people at the same time looking the other way or something
Yeah,
like that. Like,
exactly.
so I think it was definitely a little bit overused, but I I I'm
I mean, it was
remaining
the opening
optimistic.
weekend. Like,
Yeah.
they got to show off these toys. Everything's not going to be perfect. And like, people are getting upset about this, and I I could see why you're up, or like why viewers are upset, but it's the opening weekend. It's the first time we've seen any of this. So,
Right. Right.
definitely give them time, and I feel like it'll be really cool.
Yeah. But another pro, we kind of touched on this already. Again, I felt like the home team, like camaraderie from everybody was really a lot more than expected.
Damn.
Um, yeah, it felt kind of cool to see like all of these rivalries that we as viewers have been following through like YouTube and everything kind of come to life on the main stage. Um,
Mhm.
and then yeah, I mean, you really felt like a sense of camaraderie. Like I really respect, this team because I'm from that, either from that city or just like that team in general. But I really felt
Damn.
like and they did a good job as a production team to kind of highlight that as well. Like the Minnesota, when they would announce like the team players, like I was kind of getting hyped, like watching. I'm like, oh shit, okay,
Exactly.
this is kind of cool, man.
Like, I could get behind it for sure. Like the WWE style entrance,
It
like that's
was it was
like
like
get people hyped.
WWE, yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Like Illy's coming out with the hood up, the Undertaker, man.
Or yeah, I mean, just those people that are really good on camera, like Enable was getting me hyped up, and he
Oh
was
yeah,
coming
he
out
did his like
dancing
little
and everything.
baseball thing.
God, he's funny, dude. I love Enable.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But all right, well, do you have any more pros before we move into the nitpicky cons that everyone's talking about?
No,
No.
I got some cons.
All right, let's start off with the most apparent con because you and I had a running joke the entire weekend where Mork and I
Start the match.
we literally sat there and were screaming at the TV, "Start the match." I don't want to hear any more statistics, especially leading up to the Chicago game. It was supposed to start at 5:30. It didn't start until 6:15. I mean, the amount
Everything ran so late, bro.
it doesn't even, I mean, I can get that the schedule will change, sure, but the amount of downtime that they just allowed in between these matches was unreal. And everyone was making comments about it on like
And
chat and everything. They're like, "Oh, here we go, another ad break." And that's a problem, is like they only have like 6 ads they can run the entire weekend. If I
yeah.
see another Overwatch apparel ad, I might freak out. Like it was the same ads over and over, and they would like come back and be like, I'm like, okay, are they gonna start the match? And they're like, all right, well, let's dive in. What's your
Coming up next.
yeah, what do you think's gonna happen this next match? I'm like, dude, just start it. Like they're sitting on the stage, like
Exactly.
you've introduced them 20 minutes ago. Like let's go, get this
And see, and
moving.
that's the other thing. If I was a player, I would be so upset. Like, I stopped my scrims to go out and do this intro, and they kept me on the stage for a half hour before playing. No,
Yeah,
that like,
even beyond that, from a viewer perspective, if I've never watched Call of Duty before and I jump in right as they like get done with a match and I have to wait 30 minutes and watch 20 minutes worth of ads to get to a next match, like no way I'm sticking in that stream. I'm
yeah,
clicking
no,
off. Like I'm going to watch somewhere else. So they need to streamline this downtime thing, man. It
need
was
to figure it out.
I don't think it was a big deal that was talked about. People definitely noticed the amount of ads that they were playing, but I don't think they really realized like how much downtime they had in between matches. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I don't want to do that all season where we're just yelling at the TV, "Start the match." Like just start it, please. Like
yeah.
especially when the hype is like the Huntsman and the Empire, like if that's your first game of the night, get it going. Let's go. Like I don't care about,
And
your predictions and everything.
someone tweeted out, they said, Think about if it was champs, right? And
Mm.
you got someone coming up from the losers bracket. They have to reset the bracket. It's going to be another 30 minutes before the next set.
My God, yeah.
Like that's insane.
And if
Like
a game is already done late, like if it's in like California or something, and then we have to like watch it at like 2 in the morning, like that's you're gonna lose viewers at that point. Like you
yeah.
gotta get. I feel like just the ratio of us watching gameplay versus us watching literally anything else was way too big. Like we need to be watching more gameplay and less of all of the garbage.
Yeah.
Like I think it's cool that I don't know if you saw it on Saturday. They had like a performance before the Minnesota played to round
Yeah.
out the day. Like I think that's cool, but it went on for just too long. Like people were like, "What is this? Like we this is
Mhm.
not what we clicked on this video for. We need to
We don't want to watch the Super Bowl halftime show
no.
between
Like we
every
want yeah,
match.
exactly." So, yeah, the downtime thing was by far my biggest problem with the overall league so far. So,
Yeah.
the other cons I have written down are the in-game kind of mechanics that they were playing around with. So, like I said, that first match with the Huntsman and the Empire was rough.
Yeah.
There was a lot of third person, and I was telling Mark, I was like, the only problem I see with this is like no one's gonna really want to watch a third person clip of something on YouTube. Like we want to see the snipes first person of them like snapping
Yeah.
on them, or like we don't want to see them turn around. Watching a 180 first person, if you turn around and beam them, versus if you watched it like third person turn around and beam them, it's completely different. It's not something that we're really used to. And I
Yeah,
know
and
that
it's a FPS game.
well,
First person shooter.
Well, and I thought about this too. It's like Counter-Strike does this a lot, and I think that's really what they based it off of. And Counter-Strike is different because there's a lot more tactical usage and it's kind of slower. So if you go in third person, there's less likely that you will miss something big like a snipe or something that you really want to see.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's what they originally based it off of. But again, I think they'll fix the third person thing.
And
As
Counter Strike's had time to massage it all
Oh,
out.
dude,
They've been doing that
Counter
forever.
Strike's got it figured out. I mean, they have their own thing. Their viewers are used to seeing that third person. We are not.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but then the other in-game mechanic that I mean, immediately was apparent and it was a problem was the overlay that they had. The fact that it didn't have a scoreboard.
Yeah.
People were making comments that like, obviously
Watch the kill feed for
well,
stats.
yeah. Like literally, you're having to watch the kill feed more than the actual game just to see like who's dying, who's getting more kills, who's getting shut down. The top bar at the top and the bottom bar in the bottom right doesn't really serve a purpose. Like it's cool that you have the team's like pictures up on the top, and it'll tell you
Yeah.
like death and even like health at the top and everything. But we don't we don't really care about that. Like we want to see the stats. Like and
Like I don't care if someone's weak. Like I want to see what their stats are.
And they did flash it a lot more like today as opposed to like Friday.
Yeah.
So it was a lot nicer to like see the fact that they were willing to change it on the fly. But I don't know whether the move is to redesign it. I don't know how I mean, I don't think that would be too difficult for the design team to do,
No.
to just build it like they had Black Ops 4. Like I was telling Mork like we had a problem with this early on Friday, and it was like, well, this is something that changes every year game to game. Like Black Ops 4 was awesome. It would tell you score streaks. It would have the player, the specialist, your KD on there. It was awesome, and it didn't like take too much of the screen. But in games like previous, we'll go back to like AW. AW just had a scoreboard, and it took up a lot of the screen, but it was still more effective than what we got this past weekend. So
Another thing that I actually just noticed today that I didn't get to talk to you about, but when they did have the scoreboard up and they would like highlight someone,
mm,
because of the color scheme, you couldn't see like who they were highlighting or what their kills were.
yeah, and that it was only on certain teams, and that's hard to combat though because each they want to
Yeah.
keep everything branded. Um, so and it's been like that in the past where even the kill feed like if it was the opposing team, their team name would be in red, and then it was really hard to read. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, I don't foresee them fixing that as much as just fixing like the overlay or just keeping the scoreboard up. I think everybody would just be happy with keeping the scoreboard up.
Yeah, I think that would be a general consensus
Because
because all the pros were tweeting that out too,
yeah, I mean, it's just
asking
easy.
for the scoreboard.
It's easier for the viewer. I mean, it's just like when I was watching the Sunday, I watched the phase game versus the subliners. Like, I was wanting to see, because Simp had a really slow start. I mean, obviously Simp being Simp kind of brought it back, but I would have never known that just looking at the kill feed. I mean, you're gonna have to like keep a tally mark or something if you just watch the kill feed the whole time.
And no one wants to do that. Like, it would be so much easier to
Right.
just look. Like, we're viewers, we're not analysts.
Right. So I definitely foresee them fixing that. I guarantee you it'll be probably pretty fixed by the time the next tournament is, which is in 2 weeks in London. Yeah, I guarantee you most of these
That'll
problems
be so much fun, bro.
will be pretty quick. I think that the Call of Duty League is a lot more apt to listen to the viewers than the viewers think they will.
Yeah.
I think that especially with people on the casting desk like Maven, like actually talking directly to people, like, we hear you loud and clear what your issues are, we're working to fix them. I think having people like Maven on the desk is like very, very helpful, because he genuinely loves Call of Duty, and he genuinely like knows what it feels like to be a viewer. And
yeah, exactly. And he's been casting for God knows how long.
so that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Like I said before, there was a countdown, and we're like, okay, who's gonna kick this off? And we hear a voice that we've never heard before, and it's a new girl on the analyst desk, and at least they're joined by Nameless. I knew that Nameless tweeted out that, hey, Call of Duty renewed my contract, I'm gonna be on the analyst desk. I like Nameless on the analyst desk. I think he does a great job. And then I didn't hear that TP was going to be on the analyst desk. Maybe he.
No, I thought he was a coach.
I thought he was a coach too for someone, but at least those two were on there. But then, yeah, the main host girl, and I don't even know her name. I watched hours of Call of Duty this weekend, and I still don't know this girl's name. Immediately, the chat starts spamming like, "Where's Katie? Where's Katie?" And sure enough, Katie's in her own stream watching, having a watch party and everything. I don't know if I agree with that move. I think that Call of Duty people are very much like creatures of habit, and they want to see familiar faces going into this new, city-based kind of thing that we're going in. I mean, and I was in her stream too, and she was like answering questions like, why am I not there? Because Call of Duty decided not to renew my contract. Like, I don't know about that move, man. I would have kept the same people, because we grew to love. I know Pac-Man's like a coach now, but like that whole desk, like they all hung out together Pac-Man. So much, and like I even got to know them like outside of the game by following them on like Instagram or
Twitch, even.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know how I feel about. I'm sure this new girl will do great. I don't know if she has any sort of a background in gaming. I know that Katie said that she had no background in Call of Duty when they signed her like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. But Katie made a big effort to get to know everybody. I think it was different because, do you remember those like middle of the week kind of matches that they would have?
Yes.
Do you remember that? They were all in like Columbus or somewhere in Ohio.
The Pro League.
Right. So I think that helped her, since they were all like staying there for a week or weeks at a time. Like, it really helped her to get to know a lot of these people and get to know like a lot about the sport. And by the end of it, I genuinely feel like she knew a lot about COD. Like, she did a really good job.
Yeah, for sure. And she's playing it even. Like, that's what I want. I want someone that plays the game and knows the game talking about
killing it and streaming, dude. Like, she said she started streaming 3 months ago and she's already applying for a partner. Like, absolutely killing it. Like, that just goes to show that, like, once you earn the COD community's, like, respect, they're willing to, like, put in the work for you.
Oh, like, for sure.
Like, the Call of Duty League has earned my respect. Like I will watch and attend all of these league games and everything. Like,
Yeah.
so I think we're a weird fan base. We're a very toxic fan base for no reason. For no reason. I mean, it's just silly. And yeah, but we're strong, and hopefully we'll grow a little bit. So,
Yeah. Any other cons that you can think of about the View?
the other one I wrote down is like, and this is just me being silly, but there was a lot of technical issues that were kind of, I don't want to say amateur, like that sounds.
Were you saying? Are you talking about the listen-ins?
Well, just like the listen-ins, or like people's mics will be like on and they wouldn't know. They're like, "Hey, I don't have an earpiece," and they're like, "You're on." Like, all right, let's get back to it. It was just kind of, it made the viewer feel a little bit awkward, but
yeah, like that happened at my high school musicals. Like we'd have students like go off the stage and like, oh no, no, blah blah blah, and you could hear them. Like the audience can hear them.
I know, but again, I have put together like these media packages. I used to like run in my college's like newsroom, and it's difficult. Like it's not an easy thing to do, and I'm sure that they're understaffed probably. So they probably have one person running all of the audio, one person running all of the camera switchers.
And I mean, I'm not saying that it's an easy job, but they're a $300 million league.
Yeah, but I think that those will just come with time. Again, people are getting nervous. There was I can't emphasize enough how many question marks there were going into this league. Is it going to crash and burn? Is it going to have a lot of viewers? Like, so I think all of that nitpicky stuff. It was just kind of funny as a viewer to, all right, let's go to a listen in with them. And then like there would be no sound, and then they'd be like just like talking or something, or like I caught a couple of times the camera would cut to the wrong person. They would go to the analyst desk rather than the casters. They'd just be sitting on their phones and everything. Like
exactly.
It was a little bit funny, but no, I mean I definitely
just
think
little technical mishaps here and there.
I think that they'll fix those in the future.
Yeah,
I mean that's gonna that happens on cable news, and I mean that has like millions of people watching it, so I'm not too worried about it. But any more cons or any other things you want to say about this tournament before we dive into games?
In general, I really liked the viewing experiences. Like we definitely hit on some of the cons, but I mean I still got to watch the game. You know what I mean? Like I still got hyped watching Dallas get destroyed by the Huntsmen, or watching Atlanta just mow over everyone. Like that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I got. I'm happy.
Yeah. I did think of one more thing. I want to talk about the amateur team or amateur league. What was that league? Challenger. Sorry. Yeah, the Challenger series, because that was a big thing that people were tweeting about this past week. Is because people got there and they realized they had blocked off part of a parking garage to do this in. And I'm wondering a couple things, like, because it definitely seemed sketchy when people started tweeting about it earlier in the week. But
he had Aches.
Aches tweeted out, like, remember that Call of Duty used to be held, like Call of Duty Champs used to be held in a tent in a parking garage. I mean, for 2 years, like that's just how we did things. Like we adapt and, make do with what we got.
They said it was an underground heated, like right. It wasn't trying to,
but that's shiny and no. But that's what I'm saying. Like all the clips that I saw from it, it looked really dope. Like it looked like it worked really well, and they set up lights and everything. It wasn't like this musty cave or this weird garage where people drive. I mean, it was like, it looked like it worked well. So I'm wondering how the experience was. If you were a viewer at the event, are you allowed to go watch this Challenger League? Like, is that an easy walk?
I would love to.
I wonder. Cool. That's one thing I'm wondering about. And me and Mork are going to go to the Chicago event in early April, and that's kind of one of the things I want to see is like, what's the experience like not sitting in the bleachers watching the teams play? Like, what else are they going to have there and everything? So
yeah,
but that would be cool to go
see.
Some
2v2 setups.
Yeah, I'd hate to destroy everybody in
Oh
Chicago
my,
at 2v2s, but
just get drafted to NRG and
yeah.
run some kids.
We say that, but then people are going to go back to our last VOD and be like, oh my God, you guys suck. That'd be, that was a
That
rough,
wasn't a good one.
yeah, that was a rough go. We need to get back in that COD game
Yeah, for sure.
or the gunfight game. But yeah, I think the Challenger League looked really cool. I watched the finals. Who was it? Singularity came back and they actually had to win two best of fives, but they only played one on main stage. But
Yeah. Well, see, that's another thing. Singularity was at Champs last year. Remember, they had Kleenex, who's a pro player now. He's in the league.
yeah, I mean I think they're a pretty popular esports organization. They just didn't have the money to, or the $25 million to buy into this tournament.
Yeah, and like I was just saying that because like a lot of people will probably look at challengers and be like, "Oh, that's just kids trying to make it to the big leagues." I'm like, "No, those are kids making it to the big leagues." Like,
yeah, I mean they're competing for what, $250,000 prize pool. Like that's what they said the entire time. It's like, Teep, did you have anything like that when you, like 5 years ago when you were competing? Like, no. Like he said he would fly to like Europe to play for $2,000 prize pools. I mean, it's silly.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have a $250,000 prize pool is insane. I mean,
it's a cool setup.
that's a life-changing amount of money. If you win that, like, I guarantee you teams that don't have subs are looking at teams like Singularity, or what was the other one that, it was the team that went through the winners bracket. It was something black.
Oh, Cells teams.
Yeah, it was something black. It was two words, I forget, but I guarantee you, like, organizations are looking at those teams and being like, okay, is there any like breakout players? Like, that's a great way. One thing I will say about the Challenger League, I hope for them in the future that Call of Duty will stream their games as well. Like, I feel like in Black Ops 4, if you wanted to watch, like, it was cool to see like the Alpha channel, all the way to the Delta channel. Yeah. So, I mean, they had 4 channels going at any time. And if you wanted to watch, like, I don't know, a Challenger League team, like,
well,
that would be kind of
so
cool.
they had main stage and then Bravo through Delta, but they also had Call of Duty World League Open, which is where, like, that was an all the time open league.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's to stop them from doing that? Like, on the open channel, they never had casters really. And so that'd be something like I would tune into it just to see.
Yeah. I think that it's cool that they're doing this anyway, because again, that was another question mark, like, coming into the Call of Duty League. It's like, what's going to happen with all these teams that don't have $25 million to pay for a team,
Yeah.
So,
or all the pros that didn't get picked up.
Right. No, I'm super glad that they decided to do that. But
yeah, for sure.
All right. I think we should transition and talk a little bit about these matches that happened this weekend.
Well, first, I want to start with Nameless's power rankings.
Oh, yeah. Well, when did he post these? Are these like...
He said this on stream before the first game with Huntsman and Dallas.
Yeah.
So this is going from number 1 all the way down to 12.
Oh, geez.
He had Atlanta FaZe.
Okay.
Dallas Empire. Chicago Huntsman. Seattle Surge. Minnesota Rocker. New York Subliners. Florida Mutineers. Optic LA. Toronto Ultra. London Royal Ravens. LA Gorillas. And Paris Legion.
I mean, let's compare that to the actual standings. Call of Duty League actually posted it. We'll switch cameras here. Call of Duty League actually posted this on their Instagram. So FaZe, we can see. I mean, everybody expected FaZe to do well. One thing I will say is, I think they're ridiculously good because they play the game unlike anybody else in the league right now. Yeah. Did you see how? I mean, it looked like a ridiculous amount of controlled chaos. Like, they play so aggressively. Like, it was just like every team that they played. I mean, they only played 2, but both of the teams they played were on their heels the entire game. And I mean, the other team was never in the driver's seat. FaZe was always called like being a thorn in their side. I mean, it was ridiculous.
And see, TP also said FaZe was really ironed out for this early in the season, like Optic was last season. Like they looked really put together compared to Dallas Empire or Optic or Huntsman. Like they looked very put together. I 100% agree with that. It showed.
But yeah, everyone expected FaZe to do well. I mean, they were just stomping. The subliners put up a lot better of a fight than the Empire. Who where are they at? Oh my god, they're all the way at the bottom. That's rough, man. I mean, that they had a rough go this weekend.
It looks like he only got Atlanta right, name listed in his power rankings.
Yeah. The Huntsman, yeah. So FaZe and the Huntsman are tied for first, both at 6-1 map count. Minnesota, I expected to be pretty decent. We ended up figuring out the DQ map against the Gorillas.
I have the tweet pulled up from Aches on the Gorillas, and the tweet says, quote, "He didn't even have Specialist on, so the perk he accidentally had on due to IW effing up CDL rules and us having to do some work around that caused him to have Hardline on didn't even affect anything." So basically what he was saying was kill streaks are GA'd, which means Hardline is banned.
Right.
But they had to do some working around, and he or whoever it was ended up having Hardline on. But Hardline really doesn't matter because streaks are GA'd.
So I mean, it's kind of an iffy statement. I mean, if you're the Minnesota Rocker, like, do you really want to call them out on like a technicality? But at the same time, I mean, this is your job.
It's a rule.
It's your job to know what you can and can't do. I know things have been wishy-washy and everything, but it doesn't matter because I don't know if that put the Gorillas in a bad headspace after that. But then Minnesota but Minnesota just came back and absolutely stomped on them. They only lost one map, I think. Or no, that was that the first map?
They lost 2 maps.
2 maps
that was
against
in S&D.
them.
So basically they had the reverse sweep.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, if it's a technicality, you got to call them out on it. But
yeah.
The other one that surprised me was Paris Legion.
Bro, EU for the win this whole season.
They did really well. They did a lot better than what we were anticipating. Royal Ravens, I expected to be pretty decent. I've always been a big fan of the twins. Who is it? Wuzkin and Dylan? Not Wuzkin and Dylan. It's
Scraps.
Dylan and Scraps. Yeah.
Wuzkin and Scraps. Not Dylan.
Wuzkin and Scraps.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting all my players mixed up, but I've always been a big fan of like the EU players and everything, but there was a lot of hate coming towards the Paris Legion leading up to this event saying they weren't scrimming people. I mean, this like
keep in mind, Nameless had Paris Legion 12th.
Last. Yeah.
Dead last.
And they went 6-2 map count 2-0.
And who they played Optic and
they played Royal Ravens.
Oh yeah, Optic and Royal Ravens.
They played Royal Ravens and it got heated. It got so heated. Great. Oh my gosh, they were yelling so hard.
And Nameless also has the Ravens at 10th.
I think those rankings are just based on like how much information.
Well, they were based on online scrims, but those
also,
don't have too much of weight. But like that's all you had to base it on, so I get it.
I don't know, man. It's just it was crazy. So the Florida Mutineers did pretty decent. We'll get out of the power rankings. We'll look at actual games.
All right.
So very first game, and they did this on purpose. They had to have done this on purpose with the Chicago Huntsmen and Dallas Empire because there's been so much hype leading up to this game, so much smack talk. It was unreal. And what better way to do this? I got the clip pulled up. We're just gonna watch it.
Yeah,
We just
just
have.
a quick one.
Yeah.
Scum, formal, envoy,
I think it's done.
lighten it up. 8 more seconds needed. Can
Mork
Empire
and I
get
were
in?
watching
Can
this
they get a
together,
touch, or will it
losing
be
our
here?
minds.
Nobody's gonna get close
It was
enough.
crazy.
It's
I had to
Chicago.
Look at Scum, dude.
Come in and dominate the respawns, and they are letting them know across the stage.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, that's what we needed. Like, that is what this, I mean, I kind of compare it to like Nade Shot back in the day, kind of Scump almost falls off the skate there. Nade Shot back in the day single-handedly propelled COD to where it was today. Like, he brought viewers over. So it's like, I think that Scump can kind of be that guy for the CDO. Like, just kind of hold its hand and be like, come on, here's how you get viewers. I mean, there was so much hype, and just to see him and Formal fired up and just roast the Empire was, obviously we're going to be a little bit biased towards the Huntsman here, but it was awesome.
I watched a press conference with T2P, Formal, and Scump, and the first question was to Scump, and the guy said, "What did you say to Dallas Empire when the camera was on you and you were flipping out after the game?" He goes, "I can't repeat it. I don't want to repeat it. You don't want to hear it."
You can kind of read some lips there, bro.
Exactly.
I mean,
I'm pretty good at reading some lips.
I mean, Scump especially. Oh, it got heated. Oh, look at him.
And he said, "Take the poster down."
Oh my god, that's so funny, dude. I absolutely love it. But that's what we need, you know? I mean, I felt like a lot of teams understood that. I kind of call it like the McGregor effect, where it's like, if you're going to fight Conor McGregor, the best thing you can do is talk smack to him. Even if you're so like genuinely scared to fight. If I had to fight him now, I would talk so much crap about how I'm going to beat him just to get that rivalry going. I mean, people love it. And then at the end of the day, they both win because so many people watch the McGregor fight, or so many people watch this. Like,
well, see, and that's the thing. I kind of do that whenever you and I play like ping pong per se.
Yeah,
like,
it just makes
you're
the game...
kind of, you're better than I am. I'm gonna say that, but I start talking trash. Like, you can get in your opponent's head.
I haven't beat you in ping pong in a long time.
Yeah, you need to step up your game.
I feel like you beat me. I beat you. I feel like you've beat me the last like 5 times we played ping pong.
Probably.
Okay, moving on. So the Chicago Huntsmen obviously played again against Optic Gaming. Again, totally planned. They knew there was going to be a rivalry between the Greenwall and the old Greenwall. I mean, the Greenwall and the old Optic. New Optic, rather. And there was, I mean, I feel upset about the whole thing with Optic as much as the next guy. But I don't think I would boo this new Optic. I mean, I think it's
that's the thing. I don't think it's that deep. Because a lot of the players were saying it's a friendly match. Like, there's no bad blood.
And no. I don't think there's any hate. But I think there's genuine hate between the fans and this new Optic.
You think?
I feel like people are really bitter about it. And like, yeah, I don't like it as much as the next person, but
what a perfect time.
I still love Dashy. I still love JCap, man. Like, I mean, it's a little bit weird that they kept the Optic name, but I think that it was a fine choice. Like, I mean,
I feel like that'll be a cool thing when we go to Chicago. Like, what if we ask people in the crowd, what do they think? What do you guys think?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously the COD community is a little bit more toxic when they're online, hide behind their computers. But yeah, like, oh, I'm gonna show this Optic team.
Yeah, exactly.
Hector's Optic. But yeah, I kind of predicted the Huntsman 3-0. I will say Optic did put up a pretty decent fight. They were even though they lost both of their games against they played the Paris Legion as well. They put up a better fight than I anticipated them doing. I mean,
yeah, especially in that domination after watching Huntsman go off on
I mean,
whatever map that was.
they could have ran away with that game, but the fact that Optic was able to just like slow them down and then take the lead, and then it got like to a nail biter right there at the end.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So it was really cool. We'll go back up here. I definitely want to talk about the Seattle Surge. They're arguably my second favorite team. Karma is one of my all-time favorite COD pros out there. I love every single person on that team, and there's no reason that they shouldn't mow down everybody in their path.
How many world championships do they have on that team?
It was ridiculous. I don't know about world
Like 5.
championships. I think there was 6, but the like regular
5,
major tournaments that they've won is like 50 or
50s.
60. Yeah, I mean it was ridiculous. Like,
They played Florida, or no, they played Toronto. Toronto had like 2 wins out of 10 players.
oh yeah.
Or like, just,
So here's the thing. Everything that I said about FaZe before, about FaZe being like playing the game differently than everybody else, like they just play so aggressive. I feel like Seattle was the polar opposite in that they were the most unaggressive team at this tournament, arguably.
Yeah.
You know, I think that they're gonna figure that out. I think that none of them are like really big like hotheads, or none of them are really like, I'm gonna get that clip that gets retweeted 10,000 times. Like,
yeah.
but I think they need to switch that on and kind of start playing a little bit more like
They need
less
someone.
textbook and like less textbook and more just aggressive. You know.
Let's see, who do you think that person's gonna be?
I think Octane could do it. Octane plays a really fast AR. He plays with a really high sensitivity, and the M4 up close is, I mean, just as good as the MP5. I mean, it's not like old games where if you had an ICR and you had an up close battle, you were losing every single time. Like, you could still win up close battles with the M4.
Yeah. See, I say it's Enable.
I think Enable's the other one. Yeah.
Enable I see him standing up in the middle of a game, pulling a killa, not even playing, talking trash. And that's what they need. They need a hype man.
Yeah, they need to. They're too level-headed for me right now. And I think, and I made this analogy to you on Friday, I think they're very much like 100 Thieves at the beginning of Black Ops 4. And that 100 Thieves, I mean, sucked at the beginning of Black Ops 4. They were not nearly as good as what people were projecting. And I think it was just because they were playing too textbook. They had Kenny. Kenny kind of struggled at the beginning of Black Ops 4. I'll give him that. But I think,
here's the thing. Do you think Seattle needs a roster change like 100 Thieves did?
I don't
100
think
Thieves got rid of Pharaoh.
I know, and they got Priesta, and Priesta was that person that kind of like pushed and put aggression on the other team. I don't think so for now. I mean, they only played 2 games this weekend. Like, we really don't know about a lot of these teams.
But then again, they played Toronto Ultra. They played Florida Mutineers.
I know, but
I'm not saying those are bad teams, but we're talking about Karma, Slacked, Enable, Apathy, like Octane. Those are playmakers.
Yeah. So my prediction is either they're going to take a minute and probably suck for a little bit, but then they're going to pull 100 Thieves like last year and absolutely flip-flop and then destroy everybody and can't be stopped.
Yeah.
I think they have the potential to do that with that roster. I mean, just from like, if they get their gun skill up to match someone like FaZe, I think the brains alone will win them a championship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So either that, or they need to, I don't know how roster changes work in the CDL. I think there's like a period in which people can change like midway through the season or something. And if they don't figure it out by then, maybe try and pick up like a younger gun just to kind of like be a thorn in these other teams' sides.
Yeah. I don't know. They definitely need to step it up. I would love to see them just mow everyone.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
So we're hoping to see the Surge kind of surge forward a little bit.
One team I kind of want to talk about really quickly is Toronto, the
Okay.
Ultra.
Okay. I did not get to see them play the Surge, or I did not see the one tonight.
They looked really good. I forget who they had playing, but one guy that I've always wanted to see step up was Methods. He
Mhm.
has been destroyed. Like, everyone has just been crapping on him recently. But
Yeah, ever since like World War
on
II,
day
they love to hate Methods.
on day 2, he was the 5th highest KD ratio. Or in day 2, like, he had a 1.39 under Wuskin, Simp, Assault, Arcides. Like,
Like
those are
top tier
big
players,
names.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm glad that he's finally up there. He topped Formal in
Yeah,
KD.
I mean, the stats are going to be a little bit kind of crazy because they only played like one game, so
Yeah,
or two games
but
matches this weekend. So, but yeah,
and
no,
then
that's still impressive nonetheless.
they're the only team with a full roster. They have 10 players, and everyone was kind of looking at them to sub in because we don't know how subs are going to work, and they did not use any subs.
I forget who said it. Maybe it was Hex. Like, I don't think subs are going to be used for a while. I think that it might take one team to just kind of try it out. And then imagine if like next turn or 2 tournaments from now, the Ultra are like, okay, we're going to do a five-man S&D team sub. We're going to switch
Yeah.
all of our players just for S&D, and then it works. Other teams are going to be like, dude, we're doing that too. Like, if we can get our team to do that, like, so I think it'll just take one team to try it out and see if it works. And then, I mean, maybe I think it would work, because how many times where you get to a tournament, and let's look at like Optic last year, if Dashy is just sucking one tournament, take him out. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just having an off day, you're having an off day. It doesn't mean you're a bad player, but you may as well roll the dice and get someone else new in there to
Or like the Pro League, Dashy didn't have his visa. He couldn't come in. They had to take Zuma from FaZe.
Right.
Like, that'd be perfect if you had a sub. I just looked it up though. Toronto started with Methods, Looney, Classic, Cammy, and Metals. They benched Brack, Lucky, Kleenex, Bance, and Mayhem. Those are some big names they have on the bench. And they started some pretty mid-level people. And so, like, I was expecting them to make some subs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the first tournament weekend, so we'll see. But that would be cool. That would be cool to see some subs. Like, that's something that COD's never seen before, so it would be interesting to see how it would work.
I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a star on any team for this whole weekend, who would you? One player.
That's hard.
That really surprised you. Whether it be like you, or whether it be like Simp, where you knew he was going to be good and he just came out and obliterated, or someone you never heard of that did really well. Who would you say?
I mean, I was very pleasantly surprised with, again, we're going to be biased because we pay a lot more attention to Huntsman games, but I thought Envoy played out of his mind for being like, this is his first time on a major team kind of deal.
Yeah.
Who did he play for before again? Gen G?
Gen G. Never won a tournament.
So, I mean, Gen G was popular last year, and I knew that he started making his run in like World War II. I don't know who he played for in World War II.
He started playing in AW. He competed in AW with TJ.
Did he really?
Yeah, both
like
of them
that
started
Rise
in
team
AW.
or whatever.
I don't know what team he was on, but
anyway, yeah, I thought Envoy played very, very well. Honestly, like, I felt like everyone on the Huntsman had their moments while we're talking about it. Like, Gunless sucked on one of the S&D, and then we turn around, and then the very next domination, he's unstoppable. Like, that's super good to see. I think the fact that I haven't really followed Gunless a whole lot. I thought he was one of those players that gets in his own head, and once he's doing poorly, when it rains, it pours kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he really surprised me about how well he was able to like turn it around. I'm trying to think of anybody else that really like really surprised me.
Let me tell. I don't know if you
Go for
watched
it.
these games or not. God RX
God RX, he plays
on the rocker.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro! In the game against the first game that they played,
The Gorillas. I
against
watched
the Gorilla.
I watched until the DQ, and then I had to go. I couldn't watch the rest of it.
His snipes, bro. They put Dashy to shame. They put Formal to shame, bro.
Really?
This guy was insane.
I've always been a fan because he was on the Gen G squad as well, right?
No.
Or no, God
He
RX
was-
came from Midnight, and then he was on
He
somewhere
was
else.
on an open bracket.
Oh,
But
okay.
he's been in the scene for just as long as these like hyped up players like
Mhm.
Karma. He's been in the scene forever. And he never really has had a game where he's popped off and been known as one of those top tier players. I think this is his game. I would be so happy to see him go out in a blaze of glory.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely keep my eyes open for him. Let's take a look at this real quick. I wonder if this is like a highlight reel. It looks like
He started in
No,
2014.
this is the full match. Say that again.
God RX started in 2014 in Ghosts.
Dang. That's really cool.
He was on Dream Team in 2015. He was on Ghost Gaming in 2017. Remember when they made their huge deal? E6 last year, or not last year? Last year as well. Yes, last year as well. He's on EG for a while.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely I'll keep an eye out for him.
He's been in like the middle, just lost in all those players, but man, he can do some stuff.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's only 21 too. He's a year older than I am. Like,
Yeah.
this guy, I'm waiting for him. He's gonna have. This is his year for sure.
All right, so your pick is God RX from the Rocker.
From Minnesota Rocker.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stick with my my envoy. I thought that everybody on FaZe kind of performed how I expected them to. I mean, Simp's been getting so much love from everybody. I mean, everybody loves to talk about how good he is. I mean, every map he deserves it. I mean, every map he turned up when he needed to turn up. I think that
Exactly.
I think everybody on FaZe did very well.
He's just an all-around playmaker.
One team that kind of surprised me on how they did, granted they had a pretty hard weekend, was the Subliners.
I love the guy to death. I blame it all on Temp.
On Temp? Dude, Temp was the one that was making pretty good plays. I don't know about the Royal Ravens game. I was more... I didn't get to see this one because I left in the middle of the Rocker game. But
in the Royal Ravens game, he wasn't getting a lot of kills and was dying a lot, but the kills that he was getting all weekend, I feel, were not like big time kills. Like, they were just off to the side. I definitely think he needs to step it up for the Subliners.
I'm interested to see because I did watch the one today, and I will say that, I mean, Atlanta's FaZe 3-1'd them. I think they 6-0'd them in S&D.
It's FaZe.
I think it's 6-0 in S&D, so that's pretty rough. But I will say in this game, and you could see it kind of with the score, maybe not the second hard point, but I mean, Atlanta FaZe should have walked away with this game and just not even had like a second thought about it. I feel like the Subliners did a really good job of fighting fire with Atlanta FaZe. And I think that, like I said, FaZe made it hard for any other team to be in the driver's seat. I think that Subliners kind of pushed back equally as hard, and then FaZe kind of didn't know what to do with it. There was times where like they were spawning in different places, and you can kind of see they were trying to like flood the hill, and it was getting pretty chaotic. And it definitely, this hard point could have gone either way. It kind of came down to the last like two where they had to rotate kind of early and then they would get killed on the rotation. It just got very hectic very quickly. But yeah, I definitely think that they did a very good job of fighting fire with Atlanta FaZe. And I think that that's, at least early on, that's like how you're going to have to overcome this team, because they have so many good players on that team that will just absolutely gun you if they give the chance, you know?
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I don't think anyone should sleep on any of these 12 teams, bro. I feel like everyone came out and made a point, maybe besides the Surge, but I mean, they're full of god tier players. They're gonna be good.
That's
you
why
can't sleep on any of these teams.
That's why I love this team, and I love the fact that it's getting started, because I mean, like you said, any team could come in and run the weekend. Like, I feel like all of these team from a sheer like statistical standpoint, and just like knowing each of these players and knowing how they're going to play, like I think that any team could really be in any sort of,
it could be the winning team.
Yeah, the winning team of the weekend. I mean, obviously, like the Huntsman and FaZe, like, yeah, they had some hard games, and they kind of, you know, beat a lot of people that we expected to do a lot better, but we really didn't see a whole lot of, and that's the problem with the tournament style, we didn't see a whole lot of really upper teams play like a lot of teams that you would think be lower. Like, I would be interested to see the Huntsmen play the Gorillas or the Mutineers. Like, I think all of these teams right now, at least early on, have a very different playing style, and I would like to see those matches. So that's the only problem that I see with kind of the structure of things that are being run. And we could transition into talking about London, because it's a completely different structure for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So there's going to be 8 teams at each of these tournaments. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
I think that's a little weird, because if everything's based on points, do these people opt in to buying or like getting into these tournaments, or is this set up by the league? Like, okay, these teams are going to be here this weekend.
I think it's set up by the league.
That makes sense. But yeah, I mean, that's a little bit weird, but I get it. Yeah. I mean, that would suck. Like, I mean, I want to see like Chicago.
You want to see the big names.
Like, yeah, I would be disappointed if a lot of these teams, I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good weekend to go to Chicago. That's actually really hype. But like, I would like to see the Seattle Surge there. I would be upset if we had bought tickets that, mind you, are not cheap. These tickets are very expensive to go to these tournaments. And I didn't see some of my favorite players, because again, we're not totally bought into our team. We're bought into a lot of different teams because we like the players on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ticket prices are insane, man. I mean, that was not expected.
And when we bought them, we were paying for 2 days, not 3.
Well, I think it's going to be 2 days now. It's only Saturday, Sunday.
What?
So that's another problem from
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Nope, Saturday, Sunday. I thought it was Friday as well. Yeah, I think it was originally when they had like, I don't know. But like now it's only Saturday, Sunday. And then I'm curious to see how because isn't there like a mid-season like actual tournament? Like, isn't there tournaments that happen with all of the teams?
That I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there's at least one in the mid-season tournament, and then like COD Champs tournament. I'm curious to see what those structures are going to look like. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of like what we've had before in like Black Ops 4. It's like double pool play and then double elimination tournament.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think we're hitting a little bit above an hour.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about it. Real quickly, the plan for this podcast is to at least do one every Sunday after an event. The goal would be right at the conclusion of kind of the broadcast. I don't want to say the match, because sometimes the analysts will talk on the desk for a while. But the plan is to do one of these every Sunday at least after a tournament. And then if we find that there's enough content, we might start doing one every Sunday. School depending for work and just kind of life depending. But yeah, so this is our first video. We will post the whole thing on YouTube after this is done. And we will also probably make clips, hopefully, and post clips on YouTube and Instagram.
Social media TBD.
Social media, yeah. So make sure to try and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We just made them like this past weekend, so we don't have any like content on there, but we will definitely be working on getting that up, and it really helps out the channel if you follow us. Got anything else to say, Mork?
I think I'm good. I got a 12-hour day of class tomorrow, so
I don't miss college.
Sack.
That's a lie. I definitely miss college. I don't miss class, but
something like that, huh?
Anyway, all right. Well, thank you for joining us on the first episode of the P2 podcast. We will definitely see you
after London.
After London in 2 weeks. Let's look one more time and see who's gonna play there. We got Paris Legion, New York Subliners. Didn't they play this past weekend? And the Subliners got stomped. Or no, they played Optic.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good teams on London.
Be a good one. Hopefully Seattle can come back.
I definitely think next time we talk about it, it'll be more of recapping the games, less of like the overall production. We talked for like 40 minutes about production and everything. So I definitely think moving forward, we're going to focus on recapping the matches, hopefully bringing some statistics that help. So,
yeah.
All right. If you got nothing else to say,
in.
thanks for tuning in. We'll jam you out here. We don't really have like an end screen, so we'll just kind of hit you with some of these. Hit you with the oof. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Hold up.
What?
Wait, before we end this, show them the button. The staple of P2 Gaming.
Nah, if you want to see what he's talking about, you got to tune in next episode. Oh, that's what streamers do, right?
Or the Twitch.
The cliffhanger. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one.